women supporting women, but then a lot of women say women don't support
They don't
women.
actually.
Right. Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. We set ourselves up to fail. Sometimes we're chasing old versions of our identity. When I was having a complete identity crisis, as I think a lot of women, parents do face. And she literally was like, well, why do you? Is it about people pleasing? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And the other problem was fear. Fear of loss of business, as we as business owners understand, right? So I say no and they leave. And it's okay that I'm not okay. So I think the first piece is accepting this is the situation and it's okay that I'm not okay. I don't have to be okay all the time.
Hi, Dr. Colleen.
Great to see you and nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Having a window behind you is the devil
I know.
because no matter what I do, I flip the blinds in multiple directions. I can't get it the way I want it. It is what it is, but I tried.
No, it looks good. Well, you know what? It's funny. One trick that I did learn from
Yeah.
magazine was my photographer who shot everyone from J Lo. I mean, he was amazing.
Wow.
John Russo. He told me you have to shoot with, the light in front of you, not behind you. I didn't
Right.
know that. And now all my pictures are a lot better than they used to be. I'm just so lucky.
Yeah. And that helped. So I had this like little lamp in front of me and I was thinking about taking the top of it off because because it's so bright to look at, but
Yeah.
it ends up probably looking a little better when I don't know if I should attempt to take it off. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah.
too complicated to try, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
You look
Don't touch
great
it.
either
Yeah.
way.
Burn myself.
No, you look great.
No, you do look great.
Wonderful.
And
And
this is really exciting for us. Lauren has been telling me so many amazing things about you.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. You're such a sweet Lauren.
no, you helped me tremendously just from one session. I'm like, I have to get back into, talking with you, and because you really helped me tremendously and you helped so many women. I was like,
Oh,
this was the
thank you.
perfect guest for the
Mhm.
I'm
podcast.
excited, and I like love the name of your Moms, Moguls, and Mayhem. I like love it so much. It's like the
It
best
was all
title
Lauren.
ever.
It was all Lauren. She thought of the name. I love it too. It's great.
I love it.
We just wanted women to
Yeah,
feel it's relatable,
Yeah.
and sharing our stories as business women, career women, ambitious, but also like the other side of it that we're trying
yeah,
to build up, our homes and the kids.
yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but
It's a lot. Yeah.
Well,
here,
thank God you're here.
thank God Dr.
Oh,
Colleen is here, and we can
I'm
get
excited.
into it and talk to you about, I mean, you're incredible. You're an author, psychologist. You've dedicated your life, over 25 years helping women
Yeah.
with their career paths and trying to reinvent themselves and rescript their story, which you did helped me. And that also helped me with this podcast too, I must say. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Share
Whew.
Share away.
Um,
No pressure.
No pressure.
no
No.
pressure. Um, I mean, today, I would describe myself, first as a mom. I got a 16-year-old son. Spent the last like half hour before we chatted, kind of like reworking his 4-year plan as he goes into senior year. So
Oh,
I was like, I emailing him saying, okay, you could send this to your counselor. Um, and yeah, I'm married. I have two cat daughters, and then outside of that, I've got the business. I've had Rescript Your Story, this business, since 2008, and I also teach at Rutgers for the last 15 years. Teaching a women's leadership course for 15 years, and to undergraduates,
okay.
and I had taught at the Graduate School of Education for a number of years, had stopped, and now I'm back at it. So I'm teaching a graduate career counseling course this semester, which is also great. And yeah, I mean, and outside of that, try to make sure I do work in the community that matters to me, and and just, try to be a decent daughter and friend and community member. So yeah,
Well, it looks like you're accomplishing all of it. So it's amazing.
tried.
What drew you to wanting, because you're so passionate about helping women. I mean, I speak for myself too, working with you. You know that you love, you could just feel that it's so genuine. You love helping women and, you know, advocating, helping women to advocate for themselves, to know that they truly matter, that, no matter what phase of our lives that we're in, that we can reinvent ourselves and find happiness. So what was it that pulled you or drew you to do that in your life?
I think it was really early on. When I was in grad school, and your advisors start asking you what you want to do for your dissertation. I was like tossing around a 50 million different ideas. And one day, one of my advisors said, um, I want you to go home this weekend, Colleen, and think about what do you care about and think about in your spare time, because let that lead what you want to research and study.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking about, and this was probably around 2000, so it's like 26 years ago. What I was thinking about was just, what leads women to make the decisions that we make personally, professionally, in all spaces of our lives, and like, how do we come to the identity that we have in all of our spaces of life. And so that's what I decided to look at with my dissertation, like what how family influences our identity and our career and personal decisions, how, for those who go to college, how those experiences influence it. And from there, it just seems like I kept pursuing things in working with women. Even before that, in college, I actually no, it was in graduate school, so it was right around the same time I started, doing some volunteer work on a women's crisis hotline. Later after grad school, I worked with that same place, but as a women's counseling center at as a counselor. Um, I went to a women's college. I teach at a women's college. I just always, because, right, as a woman yourself, you see the things that you're struggling with, the things you're grappling with mentally and, in your life, and how it does feel like there's so many things that are hard to decide how we balance out all the roles that we have. And I just wanted to be a resource to help other women who were dealing with similar things. And I've just continued to always find myself in my business, in my teaching, in my, other life spaces, drawn to doing that work.
Well, it's amazing.
I love that.
I love that too.
It's very powerful.
It really is, especially because you know what? You hear so much now about, women supporting women, but then a lot of women say women don't support
They don't
women.
actually.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so tough. I mean, I love your work and everything else, but you know what? So that is bringing up a question not on my list, but how do we change that?
Mm.
I mean, I know it's a big question to ask you, but in all of your
That's a
work,
good
is there a
question.
shift that someone could do to actually not be, say, jealous, but to actually be supportive, just to like change that,
Mm.
whatever it is, stigma?
Yeah, this is actually something that comes up enough in my class, because we say that, we're talking about, are men supporting women, right? That's the big question. But you said it, are women supporting women? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. I feel really, really grateful that personally, I had so many women who like sought out to be my mentors when I was young, and I think that also is probably what led a lot to me wanting to be that for other women, because so many women did that for me. I didn't even ask for it. And it was, I was so grateful for that. So I think a big piece of it is, we have to reflect upon how many moments in our lives has that happened for us, right?
Mhm.
Like whether it was formal or informal, the moments where there's a woman who is in a position of power to be able to help you in some capacity, and she chooses to do that, and
Mhm.
she doesn't have to. I think we have to really mentally bring those things into the forefront so that we think, how will I be that woman for somebody else? I think it's also, in a world that promotes competition across the board, right? This idea that there's a pie and there's not enough, pieces for everybody. I think we just need to think differently. Like maybe there is enough for everybody, and maybe one of the best things that we can do is help other women get a piece of the pie or sit at the table. And the I think the feeling that comes with that, we could think of it as selfish too. It feels good, right? I mean, right? You do it,
Yeah.
right? It feels good to be able to do that for other women, to know that you're one of the reasons that maybe somebody was able to pursue an opportunity that they was important to them. But I think this idea that we could look at women that, are doing something that maybe we're interested in. It sounds like a cliche, but we can admire those women instead of feeling like we have to be them or compete with
Exactly.
them, right? Like everybody is doing something that, we have a moment where we say, wow, I'd like to be able to do that. It doesn't mean that we have to hate them because of it or feel it, again, envy because of it. It may start out that way, but we can turn it into admiration and say, maybe I talk to those folks. Maybe I ask them, how did you get there? What did you do to get there? Something I want to do.
Exactly.
Reach out, have a conversation. And I think once we realize that you're not, especially when you're looking at it on social media and other spaces, it looks like maybe somebody has this perfect life. They have no problems. Everybody's got issues. Everybody's got challenges, and everybody's a human being. If we have conversations with other women that we see as successful and doing things we'd like to do, you start to realize that they're just like us, right? How are we any different?
That's right. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to your point, I mean, I know when you pay it forward, you just feel so good. It's like,
100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, helping. Recently, I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, and basically an inventor of a product, and she's like, "I really want to learn from you, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to start, how to begin." And I'm like, "Absolutely, I want to help you." Because I remember all of the women that have helped me
Me
throughout
too.
this journey.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you were one of them that helped me also.
Oh,
I mean, with Bella,
Thank you.
no, you were. So, it just feels so good.
It
I mean, to
does.
help and I don't know. I really think it's very gratifying.
Me too. Me too. And you know what? I pride myself a little bit on the fact that at Bella, my husband and I, who is my partner at Bella, our main goal was to give people a start,
Yeah.
and not to hire people who've already done it all already. We wanted people to actually come in, learn how to write, an article or learn how to shoot, a cover for us. Like, I mean, people would be surprised at, who was shooting some of these covers.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like,
I
oh, I
love
mean,
that.
it looked great, but like, they were nervous, we were nervous, but
Yeah.
it's all about, it's a picture. If it doesn't go right, I'm sure they have 1,000 stock images that we could take, and it's all about that. I love that. And I want us three to come on, everyone, help your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a
Right? Be a
cheerleader.
cheerleader. That's
Exactly.
You do, unfortunately, you do experience, it's like anything in life, but you experience people that are not so, happy to see you succeed. Or, I had a business idea a few years ago, and I had reached out to this woman who really is like a rock star in the, believe it or not, mocktail space.
Oh, wow.
I want to learn. I don't know anything about mock. I mean, this is just because I'm, a visionary. So I'm always
Yeah.
thinking and coming up with ideas all the time. And she was like, I swear to God, she was like, I launched my drink. I don't know, I think it was like 3 years prior, and it's so much work, and you're never gonna make it in this space. Like, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, talk
Well,
about
then.
killing the dream.
yeah.
Oh, but I still had my mocktail idea. She definitely did not deter me from eventually doing something with it. But
I
I
want to hear it. I don't drink, so tell me another time.
No,
yeah.
but it's true though. It's true. I mean, even if deep down you don't feel like helping someone, okay,
Yeah.
but at least be kind.
Yeah.
Right.
I can just say, I'm like overwhelmed. I'll tell you, it's a ton of work. So if you really want to do it, get ready to hustle.
Yes.
Something like
Yes.
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm
Something
saying?
Yeah.
positive
Keep
though.
it
Like
light.
keep it light. Yes.
Keep it light.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We're talking about ourselves too much, Lauren.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Dr. Colleen. I bet
It's
you
all
I
about
like
actually.
your
you.
stories.
So you know what? I wanted to ask you, was there a pivotal moment in your own life when you realized that you needed to rescript your own story?
Lots of moments, right?
Yeah. No, it
Always
gets
a
there.
lot of
I'm
moments.
there right now. So this is a perfect
Yeah.
conversation for us. Yeah.
The first time I really can look back and think about that was when I was in graduate school. I've told this story, a lot of times. I was having panic attacks and a lot of anxiety, and I didn't realize what it was at first. And when I did, I sought help in the places that people seek help, or at least at the time, bookstores. Remember bookstores?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I went to a Borders or a Barnes and Noble, looking for help, and went to therapy. And that was a big moment for me. I got into a gratitude practice at the time because I found, Louise Hay's Gratitude, A Way of Life. That was like a very life-changing book for me. I still have a gratitude practice to this day. It's the advent, I think, of a rescripting for me. Um, and a lot of it, some of that anxiety, was kind of related to the things we were just talking about. I was at a stage of my life where I was in my mid 20s, and a lot of the people around me were, buying houses and getting promotions and getting married and having kids. And I was a grad student and I was having a lot of issues with that. I was watching people live their lives and I felt like I was in just some sort of limbo. Um, and I definitely, that made me deal with insecurities, envy. Um, and so gratitude was a big place for both loving myself more, loving my life more, loving other people more. And then I think, other moments, definitely the next big moment was when I had my son. I came back from maternity leave. This was in what, 2010, 2009, actually. And I didn't feel the same way about my job. I was working as a department director in higher education at Rutgers. I didn't feel the same way anymore, and I was having a complete identity crisis, as I think a lot of women parents do face. And that was a big moment of, rescripting, like taking this plan that I thought I had for myself of where I wanted to go, and shedding an old version of myself, and allowing myself to right, shed old
Yeah.
goals, old ideas of what you want, and giving yourself permission to do that. There was a, complete rescripting that happened at that time. And and I think in little ways over the years, in the moments where we shift what we focus on in our businesses, that's definitely been moments like shifting away from doing lots of resume writing to doing coaching, more, and other ways in which I've changed the business. And I think also the way that I saw, even the last, I think, big sort of rescripting for me was January of 2021, coming off the pandemic. Um, we were all searching and trying to understand ourselves during that time,
So
and
true.
dealing with different challenges. And I decided to, just make major life changes. Um, think I lost like 50 pounds that year. I became a vegan. I stopped drinking. And started to manage. I started, exercising, walking every day, and started managing my time differently, like much more intentionally, being intentional about everything in my life instead of just sort of letting life happen to you. Planning my time in a different way, deciding when I'd see clients, when I wouldn't, not letting life happen to me. So I
Mhm.
think that was the
Love
last
that.
major rescripting. And I think that, the way I see it is it's always a balance of having a plan and knowing what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, where you're trying to go and what steps you're going to take to get there. And then the self-talk you need to enact in order to make it actually happen.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. Yes,
Absolutely.
it's so true.
It is true. And you know what? I definitely feel that, 2020, 2021, even though it was the craziest time of my entire life, all of our lives,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a real reset for so many people, because when you're stuck in your house and
Yep.
you can't go anywhere for months, you really start reflecting on,
Yeah.
What is this? Life?
yeah, what are we
My,
doing right now?
my
Exactly.
purpose, my life.
My whole purpose
Yeah.
was to just get out of the house. So thank God.
Right.
Thank God for
Right.
yes. No, no, but it's true. It's a really crazy time. And I think it's amazing, like you've made massive changes. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did,
Yeah.
my husband did a lot in his career. And, he realized he doesn't have to be in the office 7 days a week, 24/7 in order to do his job, you know?
Right.
And I think that's great. I'm like,
Yeah.
you did it from the living room for 6 months. You could do it.
Right.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, I think it's amazing. So, all right. So well, we already addressed why do you feel especially drawn to help women, Laura? So I hand it back to you.
I love that. I mean, yeah, that story, I mean, you really did pivot. And out of this pandemic came, such positivity,
Yeah.
you said sort of like rebranding yourself or, changing your life. I think that's
Yeah.
wonderful. As far as like, women and the work that you do with women, what are the common limiting beliefs or narratives that you see women carrying? Because we carry so much, we're so hard on ourselves. I mean, I speak for myself. I've always been so hard on myself,
Yeah.
high achiever,
Me
wanting
too.
to be, a perfectionist. And so I'm interested in hearing, what you experience when you're working with your clients or your students.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you already said one of them, right? I mean, I think perfectionism is one of the greatest challenges, even like thinking about high achieving versus perfectionism, right? I mean, they're like cousins, and perfectionism is the less healthy cousin, right? So,
Yeah.
um, that we can be high achievers, but when we think that there's some sort of bar that you have to meet, unfortunately, I think what we do to ourselves is we keep raising the bar, right? You never quite get to the place where it is that once you get there, you think, well, it has to be even higher than that.
Yes.
You can be a high achiever and be self-compassionate. And I think that's one of the problems that I probably see the most with women, particularly very high achieving women, is this idea that it has to be a certain kind of way, that everything has to be a certain kind of way, that whether it's in having a business or in career or as a, you know, um, with family and other spaces, that there's a certain way it needs to be done. And if you're not doing it that way, then you're failing at it. So I think, that's an issue, not having enough self-compassion in the process. As you said, being very hard on yourselves. Um, Boundaries are a big issue. Along with, boundaries comes people pleasing. So I think that I often see it's interesting, both a difficulty setting boundaries in work, right? Where thinking you have to stay late or do more hours, say yes to every project, everything gets thrown your way from a supervisor if you have one, or on a team of people, that you have to do everything and be everything to everybody in the workplace, and you can't say no to anything, but then feel like you have to do the same thing at home. And there we go again, perfectionism, not being able to um, feel like you're good enough in any of these spaces. We set ourselves up to fail,
So
be,
true. Oh my God.
because we don't want, we don't want to let anybody down.
Mhm.
And I think that the shoulds are a big one, like being able, when I'm working with women, it's being able to decipher what they think they should do or are supposed to do versus what they actually want to do and what's aligned with their values and their actual goals.
Mhm.
um, Earlier, I talked about shedding an old version of myself, or old version of goals. I feel like we have to constantly check in with ourselves to sort of like constantly reevaluate what it is we want right now, what's important to us right now.
Mhm.
Um, because otherwise, sometimes we're chasing old versions of our identity. We're going after things that we don't even want anymore, or things that somebody else wants. Going back to earlier, the competition and the not supporting each other, I think there's moments where we hear about, or read about or see on social media, there's a woman out there doing this thing, and then we may not even want to do that thing, but then we go, should I be doing that thing? Is that a thing I'm supposed to be doing? It seems like they're thriving at it. Maybe that I should be doing that.
It's so
Right?
It
true.
is so
Oh
true.
my God. So I think that's a big one too. And visibility, for some women, I think it isn't for everybody, but just giving yourself permission to be visible and to be visible before you're perfect. That's a big one. Um, to to think that you have a right to pursue having your own business, growing your business, pursue a promotion, whatever it is, before you have like achieved perfection at knowledge, experience. So like allowing ourselves to be visible, before we think that we have like the right to do it and being able to redefine what that even means that, we have the right, like right now, anytime you have the right, to be visible, to be out there, to pursue it. Those are some of the things off the top of my head, that I often see with women that I work with.
It's so true. See, we're all the same deep down, right?
Yeah, I think in so many ways.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
so true. So, you know what? I wish that, you know, women could understand that concept that we really
Yeah.
are basically all kind of the same. And, how you feel vulnerable and anxiety ridden, so does your friend,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they need reassurance,
And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's about, as you're saying, really finding your own happiness,
Mhm.
not wanting to people please. Well, I should be a lawyer. I should be, what an accountant. This is what I
Yeah.
should be doing.
Mhm.
But I want to be an artist. I want to be,
Yeah.
and I think that it takes time sometimes to get there to say, oh, I'm going to put this to the side. I don't care what
Mhm.
people think of my path. I need
That's
to
right.
be happy.
Right.
I need to feel fulfilled. So that truly resonates. Everything that you said truly resonates for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Are there some practical first steps that you could take to change your mindset? Like, because sometimes I personally feel like stuck or overwhelmed. And how do you change that mindset? I mean, without therapy, if you could just do it at home.
Right.
I'm like, I need therapy, but
Right.
but I need something I can do at home too.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I definitely believe we can be our own coaches. Um,
No, just kidding.
I I think that the first thing we, is always important is going back to saying like checking in with ourselves. I think sometimes we think we know what we want, but we maybe don't. So the first thing especially when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Um, we talked about high achieving women. Sometimes we're loading ourselves with so many different things that you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing all the things that I'm doing? Like, is there a greater meaning behind each of these things? I mean, sometimes it's you're passionate about it, it's meaningful to you. Um, Other times there might be a financial reason you're doing something. Other times it's, a sense of responsibility. And all of these could be good reasons, but I think it is the reevaluation of how important is this to me right now? Um, what are my priorities? And are all of the things that I'm doing aligned enough with that? So getting clear about that first, because maybe there's some things that can be tabled, right? Because then we can ask ourselves, are there things that I could minimize or let go of? And I think that's one of the hardest things. Every time I talk to women, the first thought is, well, no, of course
Yeah.
not.
Of
No, I
course.
cannot let it go of any of these things. But it isn't always the truth, right? I mean, there may be things that we have to accept that I am going to have to say no to this right now. I'm going to have to not do as much of this right now. Or after a certain time, then maybe I'm going to shift this over to somebody else if there's, or ask for help. Oh God. God forbid we ask for help. But
Exactly.
those are, first things. But I think from a self-talk perspective, There's so many things that I know that I talk with my clients about and that I do every day. One of the things that I do constantly throughout the day is out loud a lot. I would say I'm walking around the house in between things, literally being like, "You're doing good, Colleen. Good, you good. You're doing good, girl. You got this." Like just
Yeah,
constant conversations with ourselves that are like counterbalancing the negative self-talk
mm,
with what have I done well today? And really, we're talking the most basic things, like just that you got through whatever it was that you had to get through today. You had a long day, you had a long schedule, you had a lot going on, you're balancing, you're juggling. Like, I think we need more good job, girl, throughout the course of the day. I'm proud of you for doing X, to ourselves. I spend a lot of time doing that. I recommend that to my clients to do more good job and I'm proud of you to ourselves. Um, and and also, control, I think, is such a big piece of where we struggle, like the wanting to have control of everything and everyone. I want to control what other people think, what they feel, what they're doing. I want to control these outside forces that are, potentially going to make challenges for me. Always, I think, when we're in a state of anxiety, stress, worry, catastrophizing, whatever, to be able to check in with ourselves and, just literally ask ourselves the first question, what do I control in this situation? Figure
exactly.
out what we control and take action on the thing you control, like as quickly as humanly possible, and be able to say to ourselves afterwards, okay, you've done what you can do. Now we need to let it go. And then the 18 times that it comes back in your head afterwards to go,
Mhm.
no, 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 we already did what we could about that. We're not gonna think about that anymore. So, because it would be nice if it were so easy to just, be like, okay, well, I've done what, and I'm not going to think about it. We're going to think about it over and over again, but we have to keep talking to ourselves to be able to say, like, no, you've done what you can do. There's there's nothing else you can do. Now wait, or now we let it go.
That's right.
And until we redirect to something else. So those are just a few things I know I do and that I talk with clients about.
It really is. It really is. It's so powerful. I mean, do you feel that that eases up as women get older?
Oh, I hope so.
Like, do they
To a
pick?
degrry, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, good. Thank God.
Please, Jesus. Oh,
Gonna say, I could say, I turned 50 last year. I mean, like with
Me too.
every, so I mean, right, we can look at ourselves and I think see that it gets easier because I mean, a lot of things happen with every passing year. I
Mhm.
think that one, we become less concerned about what other people think,
100%. Yeah,
right? It's not that you want people to dislike you or be let down by you, but I think we become more like, no, this is what I think and this is what I feel and this is what I want and I'm just going to say that now and you can
exactly.
think whatever you want about it.
I'm
Um
the same way. It's
right? And
like
I
I'm
think what
50. I could say it.
yeah, I've
I'm
lived
old.
enough years to,
Yeah,
I think I deserve it.
exactly.
um so I do think so and I think that but that it is a constant. There's never like a day where you learn some tools and you're like, I'm good now. I don't got to do that stuff anymore. It's
yeah.
like we're going to do for the rest of our lives. That gratitude practice I mentioned, if there have been periods where I was, outdoing my time and exhausting myself where myself and I wasn't as active in that gratitude practice and all those old negative, hopeless feelings came back.
Mhm.
When you don't do the self-talk, that stuff comes back. It's just accepting and embracing that these are things we're going to do for the rest of our lives, and it's okay. That's all right. It's not that we're supposed to learn it and get over it, but I think the voice in our heads, I call it the inner antagonist, I think it gets quieter as years pass if we are actively speaking back to it. If we're not, I think it just stays the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I love what you said when you said, good job, girl. Because I
Yeah.
feel like when you say it, and sometimes I've noticed myself where, I'll be like, it's okay, Lauren. Like, and
Yeah, me
there's
too.
power behind that
Mhm.
Yeah.
because you're hearing yourself. So I think that that's such a good practice. I think that's such a good, even just like a daily habit for women
Yes.
to help balance, their mental health, emotional health. So any other routines or habits that you would recommend on a daily basis? Because I love that one. I'm like, all right, girl, you survived today.
Yeah.
You survived
Yeah.
today.
I love it too. I
You
probably do it too
made
much. I'm kind of addicted to it.
it.
Um, you know, other things that I know I recommend and have personally found useful. One, a big one for me is intentionality with our schedules and our time. The moment that I made time blocking my best friend was the moment everything changed. And I was doing it to a degree for a long time, but when I find it was really my coach asked me a question some years ago, probably going back like, geez, 5, 6 years now. Um, she said to me, I think I was in a session, talking about how tired I was and how I saw, I don't know, 6 clients that day back to back, and how I was exhausted and I don't really like seeing clients after 2 p.m. And she literally was like, well, why do you? And I it was like it was like this startling moment where I was like, why do I? um, and we had like a very frank conversation about, is it about people pleasing? And I was like, yeah, yeah. When somebody says, can I see you at 3, 4, 5? Like the problem was that I was like, oh, I have to make them happy. Then
Yep.
yes, yeah, of course, absolutely. Um, and the other problem was fear of loss of business, as we as business owners understand, right? So I say no and they leave. And and then she's like, we talked about fear-based decisions, and I started to put slots in my schedule. This is when I see clients and this is when I don't. And
Mhm.
I really don't veer too much away from it. And when I do it intentionally. I make that decision in that moment, whether or not I'm going to do that based on what my day looks like. Um, and then everything I do is blocked. I make space for my passion projects. I dedicate space for, yeah, talk about teaching, class prep, and grading. Like everything has its space. Client
Mhm.
prep, emails to clients, whatever. Including my social life and my requirements for my family, my house, right? Everything has a space. And so now everything gets done. And it has helped me to do more for me, which is the next piece of things. I think that make sure that you make space for whatever it is that does it for you. For me, although I'll be honest, living in New Jersey in this weather right now ain't
Oh,
doing it for me. Um,
Neither. Me
so I
same.
neither.
can't I can't do what does it for me, which is hiking.
Me too. Oh,
Oh,
that's nice. Yeah.
And so it's hard when you don't have the outlet, right? Whether it's the physical endorphin aspect of it or being in nature, both are important. When you don't have that, I've been seeking other outlets that probably less healthy, like binging things like Tell Me Lies. Anyway, and other
That's a
shows,
good one. That's a good
right? The
Is
good
it?
ones. I love that show so much.
one. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think we all need to have things that are just for us, whatever that is. And I joke, I have my audiobooks in the morning, my treadmill, right? Other things that are for us, and you got to make space for those things. We need outlets. Those things I think have been life changers for me. And I find that when my clients embrace it more, which is really difficult, they also find that mental health is better because you wake up and you follow your own instructions.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
true.
That's it. And, as women, I think, it's hard for us to say, well, I have all this to do. Can I really take a yoga class or can I really, go for that walk? And it's so
Yeah.
imperative to really listen in to say, I honor myself. I am going to do the class. I mean, I know for myself, movement is very, very, very important. My anxiety when I don't do my workouts is through the roof. So I know
Mhm.
I have to, even if it's like 20 minutes,
Yep.
I
Yep.
notice a difference, a shift in my mental health. So it's so important to honor yourself in that way. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, well, you know what? And you kind of have to, because if not, if you're not, happy and fulfilled,
Nobody is.
no one's going to be. My husband, my kids,
No, no.
it's going to be a real shit show
No.
Yeah.
back at the Hall
It's
House.
Right.
it's gonna things
Indeed.
yeah, things go down fast.
My husband knows. Just everyone, yes, mom to death. No,
Yes.
Steve,
Uh-huh.
not
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so funny, right?
It's true.
It is
Oh
true.
yeah. Especially at, this special stage of life.
Yes,
The
this
A
estrogen
whole
is
lot of
doing funny
conversation.
things.
Oh, I know
Yes.
what you're talking about, girl. I know it is special as I
Oh yeah.
like to split up from the brow. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh. So you know what? I wanted to ask you too, because I think it's like such a huge undertaking. Like, what made you say I'm going to sit down and write a book? I mean, that's hardcore.
Oh, wow. I always knew, well, I think on some level, I knew I wanted to do something like that probably from the time I was in high school to a degree. At that point, I always knew I loved writing. I was always into writing. I thought I wanted to do creative writing at that point. It's funny to me because like I'm definitely not a creative writer at all. I don't know how people do that. I'm definitely a nonfiction person, but when it really happened for me was in grad school when I was writing my dissertation. The irony of that was for most people who do doctoral program, I've learned that the dissertation is the least favorite part of it for the large majority of people that I've ever spoken to. I would err to say maybe everybody but me from what what I've talked to people. I loved it. In part because of the fact that my advisor did lead me in a path to choose something I was passionate about. I think that had tons to do with it. But I liked writing. I liked researching. I liked putting the puzzle pieces together of literature reviews, making sense out of it. I liked doing my own study. I liked what came of it. That was really fun for me. And I was seeing clients at this time at the college counseling center, during literally doing my internship during dissertation in grad school. And all the things that were going on with my clients really made me start to see in a different way what is it that we really struggle with as human beings and what is it that we really need at the core, like what is healing for us in therapy and in life. And it started to spark ideas. And after I finished my dissertation, I think days later or very quickly, I sat down at a computer and I just started writing.
Wow.
And the book at the time, this was in 2003, it was called I Am Enough: The Art of Loving Yourself, Others, and Life. That was the name of the book that never saw the light of day. But
Oh,
um,
Love that too.
and it really came from a client who we worked together for 3 years. She was a college student and like I said, I was a grad student counselor at the counseling center. In our last session, she said to me, and she was a Mason Gross art student. She sang my she sang me a song, and then she said, final words to me was, "Thank you for teaching me that I'm enough."
Oh,
And the
wow.
thing that's wild is that today we see that I am enough phrase everywhere. In 2003, I'd never heard it before. She was literally the first person that ever said that
Wow.
I'd ever heard. And it was like, I don't know, it like sort of like shook me in a good way. But I was like, that's what it is, isn't it? We struggle with that. That's what it's all about. If we could just give that to each other, if we could help each other with that. Um, that book was 17 pages. I stopped writing it the very same week, and I never touched it again. And I spent the next decade plus of feeling like there was a book in me that needed to come out. And I started and stopped a gazillion times. And then finally, in 2018, I decided, talk about intentionality. We can't wait for motivation, right? Oh God, I hate that word. I'm just not motivated. Well, usually we aren't.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, right? You just kind of got to do it. I decided that I was going to set Friday mornings at that time. And I just took Friday mornings to write. That was my writing time. I started to stick with it. And then I started making it Friday all day. And then I started making a more bigger habit of it. And I started putting blocks of time throughout the week. And a book got written.
That's awesome.
And that was it.
Yeah, it's awesome
I love
though.
that. I
Me
love
too.
that
Yeah, me too.
because to carve out the time, I mean, you really, I mean,
It's
we're
hard.
stretched so
That's
thin,
right.
and for
Yeah.
you're teaching, you have clients, you have all these things, but to really honor the fact that you had this passion project that you had to bring to life and bring to fruition, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you had something that you wanted the world to hear, a
Yes.
strong,
Yeah.
powerful message. And
Yep.
thank you for writing it down for us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
It's
I'm glad I finally,
because
people ask me, oh, I'm so sorry. Go on.
well, what I was going to say quick is that, books like that change people's lives.
Yes.
So it's extremely important and wonderful that you actually put your ideas on paper and made the time because you're helping women all over.
Absolutely.
I'm really grateful. When I forgot, how could I forget this? Forgot to mention that the Rescript idea, like that idea, was born from in 2016. After applying for a few different TED Talks, I finally got one. And in 2016, I can't believe it's 10 years. It doesn't feel like it was 10 years ago. Um, Finally, did my TED Talk. And so the theme was stories. And it was wild because my title, when I saw that, when I was, submitting my application, it came to me immediately, Rescripting the Stories We Tell Ourselves. And pitched the idea, did that TED Talk. And then I thought, what is that really, I thought about the things that I talked about in my talk, and I thought about the experience that happened that was wild. I mean, I was the first speaker that day, which was terrifying.
Mhm.
People ask you what's the most terrifying moment of your life. That would be it.
Yeah.
That would be the one.
No,
People, oh, are you going to do another TED Talk? No, 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 no. That's all good. That was enough for me.
you check the
Um,
box.
Exactly.
right, glad that's over with. So glad I did it. But um, but it was great, of course, because then I got to actually enjoy the rest of the talks for the rest of the day. So I was done. But I couldn't believe what happened. I got off the stage and a line formed,
Wow.
and people were coming up to me saying things like, mostly women, um, saying things like, I felt like you were talking directly to me. Like, I can't even tell you how many people said that to me that day. And that was the moment where I was like, girl, you gotta write the book, man. Like, and and then I was like, what if Rescript was an acronym? And that was where that was born.
Wow.
Mm.
See, it's amazing, right? All these little moments,
Yeah,
in life add up to something truly
I got
wonderful.
goosebumps. Yeah, it's really because, um, well, you speak to the heart. It's like, you're speaking from your personal
yeah,
experience. And so, and listen, it takes courage to really put yourself out there and
100%.
to be vulnerable and really
Yeah.
share, right? In that sense. So yeah, it's very, very, very special.
It is special. And you know
It
what?
is.
I've realized we've been chatting almost an hour.
Yeah.
So I got to get to my last question quick.
Okay. Okay. Let's do it.
We're not caffeinated. I mean, I'm not even caffeinated.
I know. I'm like, woohoo. Yes,
I had
relax.
my coffee.
You still have to relax,
We love you, Doc.
I
exactly.
love you too.
So Laura, you ask the final question, Laura.
Sure. If someone is listening today, I mean, we're all going through some sort of difficulties,
Mhm.
Yeah.
chapter in their lives that's, really hard to handle. What message would you have as far as, positivity or something that's uplifting to help women to realize, or people in general, how can I face this?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think the first thing anytime we're going through something difficult, whether it's work related or health related or something with family or whatever it might be, mental health, there's a level of acceptance that has to happen before anything else can happen, right? I mean, I think we fight against things. We fight against, like, we fight against the fact that why do I feel this way? Why am I so stressed? Whatever it is that we're feeling, we're fighting against the feelings. And in some ways, fighting against the reality of whatever it is we're facing. So I think, there's this idea of accepting that something is going on in my life right now that I don't like, that is creating struggles for me and that is hurting me. Um, and it's okay that I'm not okay. So I think the first piece is accepting this is the situation and it's okay that I'm not okay. I don't have to be okay all the time.
Mhm.
And that means a lot of things, right? It means it's okay that I'm not happy all the time. It's okay if I'm, on edge. It's okay if I'm feeling angry, anxious, down sometimes. And it also means it's okay that I'm not able to do as much maybe as I was doing before, managing, juggling everything in the way perhaps that I was doing before because of this thing that's going on in my life. So again, that acceptance means a lot of things. And I think from there, you know, acceptance is also, side by side with, I mentioned self-compassion, which is crucial. We have to be able to tell, I mean, and self-compassion is this thing we talk about, but in reality, what does it look like? I mean, it looks like it's okay that I'm not okay. It's okay that being able to say those things to ourselves, it's okay that I'm not handling everything maybe the way I was before. Um, but it's also like if there's mistakes attached to the thing that's going on, it's okay that I'm a human being, and that's, with it, we're in this situation. It's okay that my life isn't a perfect straight line. I think it's also a recognition that as hard as it is to do in the moment that you're struggling, to remember that it isn't the first time we've struggled, probably. And that it's, we look back at those moments, the darkest of moments in our lives. Yeah, they're awful when they're happening, and we don't know how long they're going to be happening. But when we move through them, there comes that point where you go, oh, right. Now I get why I went through that. And there's something that you get to do with it, if you let yourself get through it. And we get to give that wisdom to help somebody else. Maybe it leads us down a new path to doing something different. Maybe it provides us with a wisdom that helps us make a different kind of decision. Who knows? But maybe it makes us more emotionally resilient. I mean, there's usually a moment at some point where we understand that it sucks that we had to go through it, and part of acceptance is this isn't fair.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's no, it's not fair. Sometimes it just ain't fair. And that's part of what we're grappling with, an acceptance of this isn't fair and I'm still going through it. And we're still going to have to figure it out anyway. But that just because a terrible thing happens and it's not fair doesn't mean that there isn't something we gain from it later. And that we we can muster something in ourselves to do that. And to be able to seek support, which is so difficult, whether that's friends or family, whether that's also, it could mean things like I'm gonna, if I can afford it, get a virtual assistant to help me out. If I can afford it, maybe somebody helps to clean the house. I mean, it could be therapy, it could be any number of things. And I know that not everybody doesn't have resources to be able to do that, and that is a reality. But if one can, to to garner those resources, it's hard because we don't like to ask for help a lot of the time, and it makes us uncomfortable. Um, but to call upon resources where you can, be they free or if you have the resources, to do that. And that, being resilient is asking for help, is having self-compassion, is accepting that unfair things happen, is accepting that we make mistakes and get into predicaments, is accepting that we're not always okay. Um, and then just leaning on, self-talk, like we were talking about before, and depending on a person's belief systems, leaning into faith.
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Let go and let God if it works for you.
Yep.
Or I often say, in certain situations, what's meant for me will not pass by me, right? When you want something so bad and it ain't working out for you, well, I mean, if it's supposed to, it will.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. I love that.
That's
Let
wonderful.
go and let God.
Let go and let God. I recently have really leaned
Me
into
too.
that.
So have I, actually.
Yeah,
So have I. And it
me
really
too.
makes a difference. It
Yes.
really
Yeah.
does. In your whole philosophy, your mindset. It's exactly. So find what works for you and,
And we are,
embrace it.
yes. And as women, we are resilient. We don't realize how strong we are.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
So,
This was such a nice talk. It's so nice to
Yes,
meet
it was. It was so good to.
I
It
mean,
was so
we
good
could
to
just
see you,
talk for
too.
hours. This is
you.
like, I feel like I've had a therapy session. I
Me
feel
too.
like they wrapped up podcast and all wrapped up into one.
Me too. I may be booking my next therapy session shortly.
I, it's so great. I think, also talking with, you know, fellow high achieving women, right? Who, yeah, we we're carrying a lot. And trying to keep all the balls in the air. And sometimes you really do, we have to be able to look at things and say, maybe it's, I may not like it if I can't do that all the time. And that's okay that I don't like it. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
What a great message.
Oh my gosh. We can't thank you enough. I mean,
Thank you for
about this.
letting me talk.
No, it's really been wonderful. And our listeners are going to really,
They'll love it.
they're going to love it.
I love this
Very
whole
insightful.
Rescript, reinvent, Rescript. I mean, it's wonderful. It's extraordinary. And I know it's you've changed even my life. I'm sure Courtney's in a short period
Yeah.
of time. Like everything that you've said is really life changing, and you've helped so many women. So I thank you. I thank you for
Thank
everything.
you. Thank you both.
And let's all rewrite the script,
Let's
ladies.
rewrite that.
Our listeners, let's get writing. Let's go.
Exactly.
I like it.
I'm trying to keep everyone, it's like a freezing cold day in February. I'm trying to keep it light.
Although it feels
Yeah.
summer, now it's been today.
It's like
Yeah.
32 degrees.
It's
Like I walk
Well-
in, and Lauren's like, it's warm out today. I was like, is it?
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's not 17 degrees. So I'd say that's better than it was.
It's so true. So true. Oh, well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Colleen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren and Courtney. Thank you so much for having me here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for the laughs. It was a great
Thank
time.
you.
Yes.